Wow, I thought it was going to be a moment or two early, but nope, we're just on time. So hello, welcome to Quarantiki number 91.
What?
We're rapidly closing in on 100. How is that possible? I don't know, but um, c'est la vie. It is what it is. We're doing it. We're gonna make it. Cross fingers. Hopefully, we're all gonna make it to 100. So what are we going to do this evening? So this evening we are going to do a toast with a rum that is brought to us from our dear friends Chris and David, who thought that maybe while they were in San Martin that they should pick up a rum for their rum friend. And so we're going to do a toast with that, and then we will use that later on in a cocktail this evening. But the primary focus of tonight is the fact that we have a snowstorm. Well, it was snow earlier. It's now
David and Keith.
sleet and rain out there, but it's still a storm. And, well, we've got a bottle of port to use, so we're doing a port in a storm, and then we're going to riff off of that and see what other things we can do. So, the first up cocktail is going to be port in a storm, and that's brought to us by thebar.com. The second cocktail we're going to do is something called the Bitter Harbor, and that's from cocktailsdistilled.com. And neither of those are particularly tiki in any way, shape, or form. But the third drink is the Bonny, and that's brought to us from Kindred Cocktails. The Bonny is essentially kind of a daiquiri that is ported up a little bit. So it's kind of tiki-esque. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I may play around with that one a little bit. The other interesting thing about these drinks is the first two are going to be stirred, which we don't do a lot of stirred drinks around here. We do a lot of shaking. We do a lot of spindle blending and the occasional actual bar blender. But tonight we're going to do a lot of stirring. So I've got my mixing glasses out here to do that. But before we even do the toast, I should point out the Christmas gift we got from Mom and Larry. And that is the HIC Twist and Spout. This thing is intended. We talked about this last week. This is intended to shortcut all of the usual processes by which you get juice out of these things, citrus. It's got a cutting edge on it, and you just turn the cutting edge into the fruit and twist it around a little bit, squeeze the fruit some, and this is the pour spout, and it's supposed to work. We'll give it a try this evening because I have not actually produced any lime juice yet this evening, so that'll be interesting and fun for us to give that a try.
Keith is amused at the port in the storm.
Uh-huh.
Greg says hi, Pooch and Star.
Hello, hello.
Jeff Kahn's popping in to say hi.
Hey everyone! Glad to see that that folks are all, at least the folks in the DC area, seem to be safe and sound and popping in. Glad to see folks from outside the area. Speaking of outside the area, San Martin is definitely outside the area, and where is that? There it is. So we were gifted with this bottle of rum right here from David and Chris. It clocks in at 47.5%. It is handmade in San Martin, in the Caribbean. This is from Topper's Rum, and they spell it RHUM, but we have no notion of whether or not it is actually produced from sugarcane juice, or molasses, or sugarcane syrup. Although David and Chris seem to think it might be sugarcane syrup, which doesn't explain the RHUM. But who knows? It's labeling, and it's from Crazy Dave. This is the only aged expression that they have, and we don't know how long it's aged. Just that it has seen wood. Yeah, so it's not virginal rum. I was warned to open this bottle ahead of time, and I did. So I already took the plastic label off and popped this so that it can in fact open. So there we go. It's now open.
It's definitely not from the French side of the island.
It is not from the French side of the island. It is from the Dutch side of the island. for whatever reason. I you know. I don't know. So we were warned this is not a sipping rum. Hence, it will go in cocktail later this evening. But right now, we're going to toast to having friends that aren't afraid to travel and know what appropriate presents are for people that like rum. So here we go. This is Topper's Rum from Crazy
David
Dave.
and Chris, welcome back to your dirt house.
Yes, they are back at the Dirt House.
Yes.
So probably for the duration of the winter, I guess. Yep. So gentle nose over this. I mean, I pick up some wood off of the nose. Some turpentine. I mean, it doesn't smell half bad. I will point out that we don't know how long it's been aged, but they haven't been open that long. There's no way that's natural color from the oak. So pretty sure this is artificially colored. It's probably artificially flavored too, but apparently not not in a good way. Oh, look at the face! Look at the face! Oh, wow. All right. That's hot. That is more hot than it has any right to be at 47.5%. Oh,
There's a taste I know.
and don't like. Wow.
Yeah. Like rubbing it's like taking raw cinnamon and rubbing it against your tongue.
It also feels like there's some heat here, like there's capsaicin or something coming in somewhere.
That might be.
Wow, that's David and Chris. You've produced. You found a rum.
Yeah.
Whew, it is a wonderful addition to the interesting category of rums that we have. Whoa. I bet
David loves Star's expression. It's exactly what he expected.
I am going to bet that bitter burning flavor is putting too much caramel coloring in this to get it to achieve that color.
Really?
I'll bet that's what it is. Yep, because that stuff is supposedly just hyper bitter. So, yeah, well, I think when we get to the end, Bonny, I was going to just use this rum straight up. I think I'm going to cut it. just saying. I think we're going to cut the rum a little bit. Okay, so the port in a storm. What is in the port in a storm? It's a simple 3-ingredient cocktail. It's primarily two with just a dash of one other. And what it uses is blended scotch and ruby port. And then it adds a dash of cognac, which seems like a really bizarre
Jen Decker
thing to do. But hey, Jen, how is Kansas? Okay, so that's these guys are fine. I have a number of blended scotches. I could have used the White Walker scotch that we have. The drink actually calls for, on thebar.com, they call for using Johnny Walker Red. I don't have any Johnny Walker Red. The closest I would have is the Johnny Walker White Walker. But I decided to not go in that direction, in fact.
cold and snowy.
I'm going to go with the Dewar's, because I've had these bottles of Dewar's blended rum, or blended scotch, sorry, for quite a while at this point. And I want to do a taste comparison. So we've got the standard Dewar's 12-year blended, and then we have the Dewar's Caribbean Smooth rum cask finish, because we're Quarantiki, so it's got to have a rum connection to it, right? So that's what we're going to do here. Where is my port? Here is my port. Vintage Porto. Vintage port. It's a young port, supposedly. Tannic structure, classic vintage port. I know next to nothing about ports, so I cannot tell you if vintage is a category distinct from ruby or tawny or something else, but despite the fact that some of these drinks call for tawny and some call for ruby, we're just going to use Churchill's because that's what I got. It's here. We're going to use it because I need to use it up. Remember, this is the one the cork broke in last week, and I had to do a replacement cork, which, that's tremendously easy when you go through as many bottles as we do around here. So this starts with 1 ounce of ruby port, or in this case, whatever this vintage port is. So there's 1 ounce. And we're going to do the same thing in the second glass. Right? There we go. And then the port goes away. Next up is the scotch. We do 1 ounce of the scotch. Oh, it's been a while since I've opened this bottle. These are going to be pretty spirit-forward cocktails. I mean, the sweetness is being provided by the port. There's almost no bitter component here. So definitely spirit-forward.
David and Chris are having a Mr. Black Swizzle derivation, adjusted based on what they had on the shelves.
Yeah, so David and Chris have been on their boat Molly for months and months and months and months, and have been working on that bar, and are now back at home, probably looking at their bar going, wait, where is everything? Okay, so the Dewar's Standard, the Dewar's Caribbean Smooth, and then we need a little more than a dash of cognac to go in these. So what I'm going to do is grab a bar spoon. I have one of these bar spoons is particularly flat. This is the Angel's Envy bar spoon, and so I'm just going to put a very little bit. Come on. Speed pour would make this easier. There we go. Come on. There we go. Those are approximately the same amounts of cognac in here, and here we're using the Pierre Ferrand 1840. It's the cognac I reach for almost always. I do have a couple of other bottles of cognac that have arrived on my doorstep in a variety of different ways, but that's the cognac I reach for almost always. Wow, could this really be as bad as it seems? Yeah, so it's really bad. Wow. And it fools you because that first initial, just the first initial hit on the front of the tongue is like, oh, this is kind of sweet and yeah. What is this? Yeah. Oh, port. Used port last week in the clarified milk punch. Right? And I had a bunch of that milk punch left over. Well, I had a bunch of the mixture left over that I had not clarified. So I did clarify it. I clarified it with a sizable, larger amount of milk for a larger period of time than just the 20-30 minutes that it was sitting on the bar. Oh man, that is bad. Ugh. And so there's a little bit of sediment here, but this is how clear that came, right? So you can almost see me through through the bottle, right? No, maybe, kind of, sort of. It's very, very clear. Very clear. Oh, God, that's bad. Okay, I'm going to have to use some of the clarified milk punch to get that out of my mouth. Oh, David and Chris, what have you done to me? Wow.
They warned us. It is not as bad as the wine Emily.
Oh, that's so much better. The clarified milk punch, wow, that really takes that flavor right out of your mouth. So thanks for that. Whew. Okay, these are just sitting here, not doing anything. We don't have any ice in them, so they're not diluting. So that's okay. I need to put some ice in them and start spinning them. So I'm going to start over here. I am not what I would call a very good stirrer of cocktails, and my ability to do 2 of them at the same time would be laughable, so we're not doing that.
Colleen made herself a margarita. It's a little stronger than it should have been.
Colleen made a margarita. It was a little stronger than it should have been. Well, you can always...
It's not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. You can always add a little more lime juice or a little more sugar to it and be fine. You know, that would be okay. Oh, look, there's cork. That goes away. All right, so this is, you know, stir about 30 seconds or so. I can see the legs showing up on the glass up here. It's pretty cold. You can see it getting a little frosty up to the ice level. That seems to be about where I want this. Stick that in here. And I need a glass for this. Here we go. It's pretty color. Okay, so this is the Dewar's 12
Colleen said
year.
not to worry, she's staying away from candles.
Oh, good. Good plan. Well, that's annoying. What do you do when an ice cube slips past your strainer? Grump. You just grumble at it. That's what you do. There. Done. Okay, so that's one. Right there. Next up, we're going to toss that. We'll need that rinsed out in a moment. And then we're going to add some ice. And we'll do the same thing here. Now, the advantage, of course, of stirring both of them at the same time is that you would get exactly the same level of dilution, assuming you have the same amount of ice. Actually, if you have just a large quantity of ice, you're going to get the same amount of dilution. So it's not a problem. We're just going to go with as close to this as we can get. So about 30 seconds. Also, these two glasses are different thicknesses, so I can't exactly tell from how cool the glass is on the outside. It's not chilling up in the same way that the previous one did, but the color looks about right. Yeah, pretty sure I don't want that diluting anymore. The wife is a big Scotch fan, and so that was part of the impetus for this as well, as when I saw that there was a drink called Port in a Storm. It used port. It used Scotch, which the sweetie loves. Then I thought, you know, perfect. We got this working. Okay, so there we have it. We have the Caribbean Storm, and I guess the North Atlantic Storm, right? Because it's just Scotch, right? How's that? Okay, which one would you like to try first?
Try this one first.
Okay.
Smells like port.
Smells like port.
I like what the Scotch does to the port.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no garnish for this. This is just served straight up. How's the dilution on it? Too watery? Right about?
I think it's right about right.
Okay. I think if you went with one of our usual scotches, Islay single malt, this would just be awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does. That is kind of a nice match.
This one does not balance the port as well.
No, okay.
Because I think it's a sweeter with the rum casking.
Looks a little too sweet.
Yeah.
Let me do this. Milk punch. Clear that out. I'm beginning to. That's growing on me even more.
Is it?
Yeah. That's interesting. I actually get more. I get more Scotch from this one than I do this one. This is more balanced than that in terms of the flavor profile of the Scotch and the port.
Yeah.
Whereas for whatever reason, this comes across as more Scotchy to me.
I'm taking this one.
Okay. Well, there you go. So there we have two different ports in a storm. Again, I don't know what it would be like using a true ruby port or and also using the recommended Johnny Walker Red, neither of which I currently have. That does not mean I need to run right out and buy them either. These bottles are going to go over here. So there you go. That's a real simple drink. This seems to be one of those things where this would be a nice watching the storm outside, sit back, fire, feet up, and just with a good book, something along those lines. I think that would work. I think that's a nice little drink. It's not brilliant. I'm not going to be ordering this a lot. I'm probably not ever going to be ordering this actually, because what bars actually have port on hand that you would trust? Um, but would I make
go with the port light.
But would I make this in the future? I can see making this in the future, especially to use up some port. Also, I like blue cheese, and blue cheese and port is sort of a natural combination. I can see sipping these and eating some crackers and some blue cheese and being really happy. The blue cheese is going to generate the same face that Star gave you drinking this rum, so she's not a fan, but she doesn't have to be. It means more blue cheese for me. Okay, so port in a storm. Simple cocktail, stirred. I'm going to need to rinse out my mixing pints for the next drink, because the next drink is Bitter Harbor, and it is also a stirred cocktail. This one is also only 3 ingredients, so it's very, very simple. It is 2 ounces of the port. It is 1 ounce of, dun dun dun, drum roll please, mezcal, specifying a smoky mezcal, and the 3rd ingredient specified as Gran Classico. So, I've been on a Gran Classico kick, so we're going to tie in last week's with this week's by using Gran Classico and port in the same cocktail. But we're going to add mezcal to that, which seems odd. But once again, the wife's a big fan of mezcal, especially smoky mezcals, and so she's not. You're not a really big port fan, so this is a
Susie Hazlow loves blue cheese.
So we're looking for ways to get started to drink port. I think is the thing that we're doing here. And I have hopes for and Bonny. I'm not sure about the other cocktails. We'll see. So Susie Hazlow and you and I can sit around and drink some port and have some blue cheese, and the wife can do whatever she wants. She can drink her Parrot Bay coconut rum with V8 mango or whatever it is. She keeps some Malibu upstairs along with some Parrot Bay that we got, and sometimes she doesn't want me to make a big foo-foo drink. She just wants to be able to throw some rum in with some juice and be done with it. And who am I to tell her she can't? Not me. I know better. Yes, I do. All right, I'm not going to use, I don't actually need to use both of these because I'm not going to use 2 different mezcals. I could, but it does specify a smoky mezcal. And I don't know that the mezcals that we have that have smoky flavor profiles are going to be all that distinctive from one another. So I don't really see the point in doing multiple of these. I could do a younger, non-smoky, sort of more botanical mezcal. Just let's keep it close to what the original cocktail is. And this one is brought to us from a website that I've not run across before, which is cocktailsdistilled.com. And it looks like an interesting little website. I'm going to have to spend a little more time there and play around with it. Same thing with the first cocktail. It's brought to us by thebar.com. And again, I haven't spent a large amount of time there, but it looks like there might be some interesting things playing around there. Of course, the last one is from Kindred Cocktails, and I can't say enough about Kindred Cocktails. They're just fun to kind of browse through and see what's there. Okay, so what are we going to do with this cocktail? So we will start with the port. So where's my port? Here is my port. Well, there is one other thing I was going to do with all of these. We'll do that in just a moment. So this is actually 2 ounces of the port. So this is a pretty heavy pour of port. It is a deep ruby color. It's very pretty. It's almost like a raspberry liqueur or chambord kind of color to it. 1 part mezcal, and we are going to use the Fidencio Classico. It is a young, but it is a very smoky, don't want to say but I did. Very smoky mezcal, even though it is young, and it does clock in at 47% alcohol, so it is a little on the aggressive side.
It's from my favorite region.
It is from Star's favorite region, which is near Matalan. I think that's right. So 1 ounce of smoky mezcal. and then half an ounce of an Amaro, and they specify the Amaro that they want you to use, which is Gran Classico from Tempus Fugit, which, the last few weeks I've been using Gran Classico, so cool, this works. Cuckoo. We're going to do a half ounce. Right there. And the thing I was going to do with these cocktails is I thought they might be a little aggressive, still spirit forward, and so I thought I would also lengthen them with a little bit of Topo Chico, which is a lightly carbonated, slightly minerally water. Not quite a tonic water or a club soda, but I thought it would just be an interesting thing to see if we can lengthen them out and see how that works. Good friend Huey is a big believer in making things that are a little too spirit forward into a longer drink, with the addition of some ice and some bubbly of some sort. And so, I'm going to take him at his word. I trust Huey on most things, aside from his taste in gin, which is terrible. No, that's not true. It's just his taste in gin is terrible. We've had this conversation before. He doesn't believe that I can tell the difference between Aristocrat and other gins in a mixed drink. And I seem to be able to. So, all right. What are we going to do here? We're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to do about 30 seconds of stirring here. So, don't need to sit here and count because, once again, I'm going to do a little bit of the eyeball and feel for this. So I may go over 30 seconds. Who knows? We'll see. But you will at some point reach thermal equilibrium here, where the drink itself is as cold as the ice, and so you're not going to get much more dilution unless you let it sit for quite a while. So you're not risking too much by over stirring. Another trick with the stirring is a lot of bartenders seem to say when the ice frees up, when it starts to just spin on you, because you'll feel some resistance, and then at some point with the stirring it just kind of eases up and just starts to roll. And about that point, it's probably the right amount of dilution. Now, what am I doing in order to stir? Because I haven't talked about technique in a while. So you note I've got oh, I'm dripping this all over the place. Is it tasty? That's kind of tasty. So I've got the bar spoon, and I've got these two fingers forward and these two fingers in the back. I've got the back of the bar spoon up against the glass, and all I'm doing is pushing and pulling. So I'm pushing with the bottom fingers and pulling with the front fingers in order to keep the back of the spoon against the glass and keep it rotating around and just keep the ice moving. So listening to cocktail broadcasts and having them talk about why they are doing stirring versus shaking of cocktails. And one of the things that I had not previously sort of glommed onto, I guess I knew it kind of intuitively, is that one of the other different, in both cases, shaking and stirring, what you are doing is, of course, you're achieving dilution and chilling the cocktail. Okay, fair enough. With the shaking, however, you also get a little more dilution because you're breaking up the ice, so you're getting that dilution factor there. The shaking also is a little better for incorporating ingredients that are hard to incorporate to create sort of a slight emulsion. But the other factor that I hadn't considered is that the shaking actually incorporates air into the cocktail and changes the mouthfeel of the cocktail. Also, the ice chips from the shaking will cause your cocktail to not be as clear, and that's sometimes problematic for certain cocktails that you would want to be serving. Okay, so this is stir with cubes, strain into glass, and garnish with an orange peel twist. So I do not happen to have any fresh oranges, but I think that's okay, because what I have here is Collins Orange Twist in Syrup, which is just marvelously decadent and yummy. And where are my tweezers? Well, we'll go with these tweezers. And I'm just going to take, look at this unctuous little syrup dangling off of here. We're going to just drop that in. And we're going to take a second one. Now, it doesn't say express oils into it or anything else, so we're just going to drop a couple of those orange peels in there. Yum. Don't do that in the professional bar. I'll get you fired. All right, so that goes over here. Yum, yum, yum. And this is the Bitter Harbor. And that is a deep, it looks black on the screen, but it is actually a deep, deep red, despite the fact that the mezcal is clear. I mean, this mezcal is crystal clear. So, just interesting coloration here. Unfortunately, this bottle of port, I do have little flecks of cork in it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Don't drink the cork.
Don't drink the cork. Smells a lot like port. Gee, I wonder why. There's 2 ounces of port in this. But it's going to be tamed or complemented by the Grand Classico and the mezcal, we're hoping.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm also not a huge port fan, so it's always interesting to see what different things do to port.
Oh, that's really interesting. That is really interesting. Okay, this is bizarre, because if you served that to me, I would think you were serving me a Manhattan. Manhattan, bourbon or rye, with an ounce of sweet vermouth and 2 dashes of bitters. This comes across as kind of like a Manhattan to me.
It is sort of Manhattan-y, except for it's good.
I find this very strange. Very, 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 very strange. It's good though.
It really is.
That's much better than the first one. Than the port in the storm.
That's really bizarre.
The port in the storm is fine, but this is better. This is significantly better. Here's the Topo Chico. I'm going to pour the Topo Chico in here to start with. And here I'm just guessing. I'm just going to pour some in. See a little light effervescence. Lighten that up. Stir this around. I could be completely wrong here. This could completely ruin this cocktail. Probably did, yeah. That's way too much Topo Chico in there.
Yeah.
Yep, totally ruined that. That's okay. She's going to steal that one.
Do you want to try some?
I'll try a little more, yeah, that's fine. No, that is really tasty. I quite like that. And you're going to love the fact when you get down there and you've got those candied orange peels.
Yep.
Yeah, the Topo Chico does not help this.
No. Does it help the rum?
Does it help the rum? I'm not sure there's much help for that rum, but okay, so I'm going to pour a little bit of the rum in here. Split that rum, and then we're just going to, I'm not going to go half and half. There we go. I can't imagine it's going to help the rum. I really don't. Let's see what this does. Lightens it up a bit. The nose is better. The nose almost gives like a mineral-y element to it now. Nope. Oh, juice. Wow. Okay, so that takes. Remember when I said that the first taste of that rum right on the tip of the tongue is kind of sweet and totally does not prepare you for the horror that is to come? The Topo Chico wipes that out, so it's just this wave of bad. It's whoa, oh, wow, oh, we're going back to the we're going back here. Oh, the milk punch is so good at getting rid of that flavor. Oh, it's amazing. The mouthfeel on the milk punch is quite silky, very nice. It does have sort of a bitter Campari flavor-esque to it, even though there's no Campari in it. But yeah, it's quite tasty. Star doesn't think so, but that's okay. Oh, God, that rum is awful. Wow. Sorry, we're never going to be sponsored by Topper's Crazy Dave Rum, and that's okay by me. All right. Okay, so we've done 2 drinks. We've tried to lengthen one of them with some Topo Chico. That didn't really work, sadly enough. Um, and we haven't really done anything that's really properly tiki or tropical in nature. But then again, port is not really a tiki kind of ingredient. It shows up in a few cocktails, but not too many. Um, the next cocktail, though, is certainly inspired by the daiquiri. There's no doubt. And the daiquiri is sort of the precursor to like every tiki cocktail that is out there. Those tropical flavors coming together, rum, lime, and sweet. The rum that is specified for this cocktail is just listed as rum. And then in the side notes for the cocktail, it says, use something sufficiently piratey. I have no idea what is meant by piratey rum. And a couple of their suggestions don't really help us out any. So I'm not sure what they mean by piratey rum. If potentially what they mean is bad rum, then okay, we got that covered. We're good. But I would actually like something that I can drink. So we are, in fact, going to cut that rum with some other rum. Ray and Nephew was specified, I believe. So was Smith and Cross. Those are very different rums in my book. But okay. But before we do that, I need lime juice. So I'm going to have to squeeze some limes. I don't think you've ever seen me squeeze limes on the show before. I just tend to do that ahead of time. And so you never see me do it. It's okay. We're going to do it now. So you get to watch me do this. Nice little gorgeous cutting board that we got here. It's got some cherry wood and some other pieces of wood lining it. It's very nice. Very nice board. Very nice. Okay, I need a knife to cut this with. I just had a knife in front of me. I don't know where it went to. There it is. So what I like to do is cut the edges off the lime. I didn't take the sticker off, but I did wash all of the limes, so they are clean. And this is a little older lime. I do the same thing here. Especially with the older limes, I think this really helps to get all of the juice that you can out of the lime. We'd prefer not to slice a little bit of your finger too, because the metallic taste of the blood just doesn't add anything. Fortunately, I managed to skip that bit.
David wants to see the new juicer.
Oh, David does want to see the new juicer. That's right. I forgot about the new juicer. I had put it out of my mind. We've had enough horror stories for the day. Okay, so we're going to try it with this lime. Oof. Here, let me... I just doubt the ability of this to like get into the lime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the lime a little bit, kind of break up some of the internal structure on the lime, and we'll see how that works. If I can't get it in through one of the edges, what I will do is slice off the end and then put it in, and we'll see how this goes. Thank you, David, for reminding me to do this. Okay. It has a lip on here, so you're not going to slide your hand down into the tines. At least you're not supposed to. Yeah, because that's easy enough. Okay, we are getting some juice out of it. Oh, I think the idea here is to do it this way. Okay, yeah, there aren't instructions on here. So that goes into your lime. And then you pour lime juice out. Okay, and I'm supposing I can squeeze and turn and do this. Yeah, this is... There's a little more lime juice. I mean, it works, kinda. I mean, I'm getting lime juice all over my hand here. But this is filling up with lime juice. And I am getting lime juice that I can pour into this guy. So, I can squeeze the lime and get more juice out. My guess is if I pulled this out and sent it back in and did this a couple more times, I'd get even more juice out. Okay, so it works better than I thought it would, quite frankly. Although, you know, there's still juice in here. Wow, that's interesting. It works, kinda, sorta. Okay. Interesting.
Is it better than using your hands?
It is better than using your hands. Yes, just you know I mean, if you cut this open, I mean, it's done a reasonable job of getting lime juice out of the lime. Let's see, but if I do this, look at how much juice I'm getting out of that. Did you see that? That's significantly more juice was still in that lime. Half. I'm going to do the same thing and do that. Yeah, see, it just leaves a lot of lime juice. Which, you know, if what you're doing is you're just bringing this along because you're traveling and you need something to juice a lime with, I guess that's perfectly fine to go ahead and use that. I mean, you're not going to be as effective. I mean, if you're making dozens of cocktails and you need to juice limes, though, that is not the way to do it. Okay, so...
but if you need something to keep in the picnic cooler...
Yeah, if you need something to keep in the picnic cooler or stash it in your car, yeah, there you go. It is pointy and a little sharp, so I'm not sure I would want to carry it on a plane. So that might be an issue. Okay, so note, this is your lime, right? So this is the lime, the end's cut off. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, it fits in the basket like this, right? So, but that's actually not the right way to do this. What you want to do is you want to do the wide end down. And what you're trying to do is force this to kind of splay out in the cup here in order to get as much juice out of this as possible. And we'll just do this again. And when I'm doing a lot of these, I will just put the trash basket right in front of me and I'll just pop this thing, send the lime halves directly into the trash can. I'm having to pivot here because the trash can is behind me. Doesn't take a lot of arm strength here. And if you do a little pop with the, when you open up the nickname for this is a Mexican elbow. If you do a little pop on it, over the trash can, you will get the lime husk to just pop right off of the inside. You don't have to reach in with your fingers and try and pull it out or something along those lines, which is really annoying and kind of a pain. Okay, let me rinse this real quick.
It's called a trumpet citrus juicer.
A trumpet citrus juicer. This is called a trumpet citrus juicer. Yes?
Yep.
This thing?
Yep.
Okay. Like, why would you call this a trumpet citrus juicer? You wouldn't. Okay. So now I'm just going to take a glass and I am going to send this through the strainer one more time. And this is just to catch all of the errant pulp. If you wanted to, you could just take this and clarify it and then have like perfectly clear lime juice that you could use. It seems like a pain. A lot of extra effort. But there you go. There's 3 small limes and we've got, you know, half a shot glass, not half a shot, half a rocks glass, which is, okay, this is about 2.5, 3 ounces of lime juice right there. Yep, that seems about right. About an ounce, sometimes a little more lime juice per lime. Seems about right. Okay, last drink for the evening, and this drink is actually a shaken drink, and it is named after a pirate. It's called the Bonny, and this is a shaken cocktail. Ta-da! Do I want to do 2 of these? Sure, let's do 2 of these. That and that. The first one, I'm going to risk it. The first one here, we're just going to use Crazy Dave's rum. That's it. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to see whether or not the powers of a really good spiced syrup and lime can counter the effects of this rum. Color me skeptical, but we'll see. All right, so we're going to start with my spiced rum. This is a homemade batch, and a ½ ounce goes in each. All right, so there's that. If I was doing the scientific method here, I would do one of these. I would do the one with the topper's rum, and then I would decide based on that how much Topper's rum to use in the second. I'm afraid of the Topper's rum, so that's exactly what I'm going to do here. We're going to go 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. We'll do that. And then I am not going to add the rum to the second one. Okay, there we go. Da-da-da. So now we need 1.5 ounces of rum. 1.5 ounces of this. This is crazy. What makes me think this is going to be okay? I have no idea. Really? I don't know, folks. Should I do like the full 1.5 ounces with the Topper's rum? Should I? Or should I split it with something? I think I gotta try it, right? I think I gotta try with the Toppers.
See how it is for mixing.
Okay. There we go. Yeesh. Yeesh. Okay, that's a damp hand. You're like, wait, didn't you tell me that these drinks all had port in them? Just be patient. Be patient. Patience, young grasshopper. Or old grasshopper. Or we're not making grasshoppers this evening. Okay.
David said go for it for the first one.
We are going for it. We are shaking away. Saw a video today on shaking techniques, and wasn't anything brilliant there. The individual that was doing this says they really like to just give a light tap on here in order to make sure that the seal is set. They did want to point out this should be sort of a straight line down one edge, and you'll see it being cocked on the other. Yep, all that is pretty straightforward and normal. The way he does it is he wraps his hand 2 fingers above and 2 fingers below the split, and then holds with the second hand to do that shake. I tend to grab a little differently. I do such a wider grip, but I have a slightly larger hand. So, and then he's really not all that concerned about the shaking technique that you use. Just don't do this. It's just kind of shaking it around in the thing. What you want is you're throwing the liquid and the ice back and forth. And in order to get the air incorporated in it, you got to do that, right? So. Nice and cold. All right. Various things. He likes to pinch the edges here and then just kick it forward. I don't actually have to do that with these because I'm using a plastic as part of this. So I can just bend the plastic and it pops right open and it's okay. What is the... I don't completely lost my... Oh, right. That's the second... That's what that is. Okay, that's the makings of the second one. Right. Okay, what are we going to do for this one? So it says use a rocks glass, or so this is actually a double rocks glass. We're going to go with tasting glasses actually for these. I'm going to use the Cotton and Reed tasting glasses. Okay, so my strainer is over here because I used it for the lime. Bar towels. You can never have too many bar towels. There are bar towels scattered all around here. Okay, so this is going in this Cotton and Reed glass right here. We're going to do a tight pour, or tightly gated pour. Last little dredgy bits here, because we got to get all the good stuff, right? Yeah. Uh-huh. Calling me unconvinced, but we'll see. Now then, 1 ounce port floated on top. I'm not even convinced that this is going to float, quite frankly, but we'll see. So we can go 1 ounce of port. I will say that the write-up on the in Kindred Cocktails has a lot of comments on it that were very complimentary. That thought that this was quite tasty, and it may be, but it may also be with a better rum. So I mishandled the float, so it kind of went down one side instead. So instead of it being just floated on top, it is actually, like I thought, it is mostly incorporated in. So that's kind of a bummer. It does ask that you also do a grate of nutmeg across the top. So we'll see what can be done here. So there's a little grate of nutmeg on the top. And then we'll hand this to the wife.
No, very dangerous. You go first.
Great. Topper's rum. Why did it have to be Topper's rum? Well, it smells like nutmeg and port. How bad can that be? Oh, maybe I shouldn't have watched a couple episodes of Greg on How to Drink where he did cursed cocktails.
Yeah.
Including like the worst cocktails from the Venture Brothers cartoon show, which, yeah, okay, so hey, at least this doesn't have mayonnaise in it.
Right?
Or chocolate syrup.
You know, I've had some drinks with chocolate syrup that are just fine.
I am pleasantly surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised because I don't immediately hate it. It finishes poorly.
Yeah.
The rum finishing notes come through on that.
But it is much better in a cocktail.
It is much better in a cocktail. Absolutely.
You may be onto something that there's a bit of capsaicin in there.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure how we're getting the capsaicin, but
I don't know. That might be the crazy.
Yeah, it could be that could be the crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure what. There's something in there that's just bizarre. Yeah. Ugh. Okay, so that's Crazy Dave's and Bonnie.
We have a Gwen.
Hey, Gwen. Howdy. So what next? All right, I need to do this. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need this. This can go over here. I'm going to rinse this out. I'm just going to use this again. Why not? Okay. So instead of using the Topper's rum, something piratey, we could use Denizen. I'm not sure that I want to use like my really good Privateer rum. I mean, Privateer is like fits the piratey complex there, but I don't think that's what we want to do here. Okay, so let's do this. We need what? We need 1.5 ounces of piratey rum. Okay, so let's see how much is left in this bottle of Smith & Cross. There is... there's 1 ounce of Smith & Cross. Okay. Don't fear, don't worry. There's a second bottle of Smith & Cross lying around here somewhere. Okay, so Smith & Cross has got us covered for the Jamaican kind of Navy style. So now we need something else to kick this up a notch. I don't want to use another Jamaican. Okay, sure, why not? Sitting over here, I don't want to use a blend because then we're just adding way too many things here. So let's reach for the Lemon Heart 151. Pirates are rough and tough characters. There we go. All right. So now we have 1.5 ounces of rum. and it's an ounce and a half of rum that is overproof, significantly overproof, because the Smith and Cross is overproof, and the Lemon Heart is, of course, 151, so 75.5% alcohol. So that's gonna be pretty stiff. We'll see how this goes. Why are you finishing with with a drink that is just so high in alcohol this evening? Well, because tomorrow's Martin Luther King Day and I don't have to go into work. That's the whole reason here. So I'm planning on sleeping well this evening. This is going to help, and it'll all be good. Once again, it's all lit up. We're going to shake. Let's see. Thumb back here, holding this all in place. Anders does like a quick shake down here just to lock things into place. I'm like, whatever. Those of you in the know will be going, wait, isn't this just a daiquiri with a float of port on top? You would be absolutely right. That is exactly what this cocktail is. All right. So far, so good. A little more in there. Is there a little more? There is a little more. Just a tad. I suppose you could gussy this up with a little falernum or something along those lines if you wanted to. But again, I'm using my spice syrup, which has got all sorts of wondrous, funky ingredients in it, and so I think it'll just be fine. Okay, so once again, we have 1 ounce of the port that gets sort of floated on top to the extent that I can actually float it on top. And what I'm going to try to do now is, so I was trying to get the spoon down in there and pour on the back of the spoon. What I'm going to do is sort of a rain effect this time, and I'm just going to pour over the back of the spoon and let it rain down into the glass. Let's see if that works any better. Really not. I'm not so sure about this whole float the port. I just don't think that that's working here. In fact, with these overproof rums, we're getting exactly the opposite effect. Instead of the port floating on the top, the port is sinking because, well, the density of the overproof rums is significantly higher. So you can tell the port is sunk to the bottom and there's rum across the top. Yeah, so
not at all afloat.
Not at all afloat, kind of the opposite of a float, and now it makes me really want to actually mix the, it makes me want to mix this together. It wants me to shake it again, but okay, we're gonna go with a little of the nutmeg, and we're gonna taste what's gonna be a daiquiri across the top, an overstrength, massively overstrength daiquiri. I'll see how this is. Oh, that smells so much better. It's amazing what an awful rum will make you do in terms of like, oh, is all rum awful? And then you stick your nose in some good rum and you go, oh no, I'm home. Thank you. Oh no, that's so much better. Oh, wife, you have to come up here and try this. Oh yeah. Nope, it's all about the rum. Here you go. Give that a try. Yeah.
Much better.
Yep. I do think if you're going to be using heavy overproof rums to make something like this, that you could serve it over ice.
Yeah.
I think if you just shook it with some crushed ice and just served it with that ice, I think you would have you would be fine. That would also better allow you to do the float on top because you could pour the float on the crushed ice.
Yep.
I think that would be a much prettier cocktail to do it that way. Hey, would you throw that away from me? Because and this. Yeah, there's no question. There is a Okay, so a number of years ago, at our bachelorette party, in fact.
This is the.
Yeah, it's the one to go bye-bye. I had a drink called Boris the Soviet Love Hammer, which for those of you that are in the know of Cards Against Humanity will recognize that as one of the cards in Cards Against Humanity. It was a custom drink made for us, but it had habanero tincture in it. And that burning sensation going down the back of the throat from that tincture is what I got off the end of that rum.
Mm.
And so it leads me to believe that there's something that is activating
So
this.
I looked on the webpage, and they say caramel, vanilla, cinnamon, and there's something else. So they don't say anything about
ethanol,
spices.
petrol, flaming, I don't know, something. Dudes, clean your pot still? No, it's probably they're using a column still. We know that they're using a column still. Maybe the plates need cleaning. I don't understand.
Cam joined us.
Hello, Cam. That is so much better. Drink the Ann Bonny. I think it works. The cinnamon syrup, or in this case, the spice syrup, the lime, the 151 and the Smith & Cross work really nicely together. The Ruby Port, it's not bringing down, well, I mean, it brings down the alcohol content because you're dealing with 151 here. But yeah, this does not taste like an aggressively spirit-forward cocktail, despite the amount of alcohol that's in that. I'm not sure that the nutmeg is adding much here. I really do think that this would benefit from being over crushed ice with a couple of sprigs of mint and maybe an orange wheel on it, and not served up like this, which is the way the drink is called for. So I think you can work with the Ann Bonny. I do like the coloration that comes through on this. It's the complete opposite of the float, but yeah, I think it works. It's pretty. If you did it over crushed ice, like I said, you'd have that pretty color where you'd have the light rum and then just this ring across the top of ruby colored ice, and then tendrils of that would be dripping down into the rest of the cocktail. I think that would be a really gorgeous thing. You could pretty easily do that in a hurricane glass, small hurricane glass, and double the proportions of this drink and send people home in a bag.
So
I think.
Chris says, sorry the rum was miserable.
Oh, it's
Dave said what Chris said, but it was fun seeing you try and work with it. And I'm like, it's always fun to try.
Yeah, so what to do with a rum like this? Keep it as far away from your infinity bottle as you possibly can, because it will just poison the infinity bottle. But one of the things you could try doing with this was infusing it with something really potent. So you could take like a really strong black tea or something along those lines, or just use it in small amounts as an extender, because I mean it is 47.5% alcohol. So you can use it to extend cocktails if you use it in a small amount. The other thing is throw it in punch. I wouldn't use it as the primary rum in your punch, but there's a lot of times where I'm just going through the inventory, making a big batch of punch, and just have to clear out some bottles. And that would be one that I would do that with. Oddly enough, maybe this comes a week too late, but it would be interesting to see if you can kind of resurrect this rum by clarifying it, by running that through the milk punch process, and see if that takes out those harsh back end notes. There is, so you remember, I was sitting there sipping on some of the milk punch to kind of cleanse my palate from that rum, and it worked really well. So there might be something to that. I don't know. Maybe it would also clean up that rum a little bit in the sense that it would be a clearer rum. It wouldn't be nearly as dark, which would make it a little more like truth in advertising, because I'm sure that color isn't coming from the oak barrels. I don't care how charred those oak barrels are, you're not getting that color off of a young but still aged rum. That's not happening. So there you go. We got 3 cocktails done this evening. We did the Port in a Storm, which uses scotch and port and a little cognac. We did the Bitter Harbor, 3-component cocktail that uses port, mezcal, and Gran Classico. You could substitute any other Amaro that you wanted to use for that. and the Ann Bonny, which we did 2 versions of the Ann Bonny. We did a good one, and we did one with Topper's rum. And we found, a couple of things here. So the Bitter Harbor is actually quite drinkable, quite yummy. The Ann Bonny is quite good as long as you use good rum with it. So yeah, there you go. I think we're going to call it quits for the evening. We're clocking in at right about an hour. So adios, folks. It's been fun. Quarantiki number 91, playing around with port while a storm rages outside. Not really raging anymore. It's just kind of cold and probably freezing everything, which is going to make it miserable. But anyway, adios. Make some daggone good cocktails, and we'll talk to you next week.